Mr. Bangle, could you give me your own definition of making form in the design field?
Making form in the design field. Well, it's what we have a lot of fun at, making form. I think designers, particularly car designers, have a love of making shapes and forms. Maybe we don't ask enough questions about it. When we do it, we just tend to make some. So making form is a serious part of the job of a designer, and not one that you should just leave to the dictation of a function. Form follows function. Making form is about giving a visual sense of character to your product, of its story, beginning to make its soul. Perhaps that's a good way to describe making form.
In your projects, what is the relation between the internal space of car and interiors in architectural terms? Is it always the same approach, or our image is it different?
Well, I think all the projects are different in how we approach them. At least in the car business, it has been this way in my time at BMW. But it's because it belongs to a set of beliefs that the proper way to treat things equally is not to make them the same, but to understand their differences and treat each situation differently. So if you have two interior spaces to deal with, you have to understand the two completely different contexts in which you may find those. And therefore, different brands offer different contexts, and different product uses offer contexts. Different spirits of the car as well, or whatever you're dealing with.
How have you applied materials to your current creation, and have you used it to give an identity in an environmental space as car showroom or stand?
Car showrooms and stands is not something that I've dealt a lot with in my time at BMW. That's always been handled by another part of corporate communications. But materials themselves are very, very important. The philosophy of GINA, which is the concept car we did with the flexible skin, GINA has actually made clear to us a real philosophy of design in which material language, that is, the materials themselves want to make a shape if given their own ability. That's been very important to us, understanding that shape definition is not just because something underneath the skin says, I'm round, therefore the skin should be round. Shape definition can be completely different if the materials that make that shape are different. So when we moved from hard metals, for instance, of a car skin, to cloth, we suddenly discovered different types of shapes.
Could you tell me about the choice of the materials you have used in your projects?
Well, the materials that we've used, we've tried to make always fit the situation, even though they weren't perhaps the ones predicted. So the skin of a car, for instance, what does it really do? Is it there for safety, or is it just there to give the car, some good looks? And if so, could it easily be a piece of cloth? The cloth on the GINA car that we did, for instance, has about 1/10 the ecological footprint of painted steel. 1/10. Okay, we didn't solve all the problems with it, and there's lots more to come, but at least it's an indication it's the right direction. Just getting rid of the paint alone. Its paint line in a car factory is the #1 energy eater. Well, how can we get people excited about cars if we don't paint them?
GINA Philosophy is a strong way to make a new design. Where do you think it can be applied?
I think it can be applied everywhere. I was very pleased to be part of a project at Harvard, the Harvard Graduate School, with Frank Barco from Barco Leibinger. And Frank's class on graduate architecture, in that class we incorporated GINA as a philosophy for suburban architecture. So that was about as far away from a car as you could imagine. And still, what we learned from the students about their ideas of flexibility, about materials in their lives, the role of the person in it, was enormously helpful to me to understand how big a story GINA can encompass. So from the minute, the small, maybe small products philosophy, to big houses, architecture, I really don't see a barrier. It's more truly a philosophy.